So I'm trying to get this darn. There we go. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have opened up to your proficiency tables in the plate tectonics unit requirements. What I'd like you to do before we get started, I see that a couple of computers are still getting started and everything. So what I'd like you to do with your shoulder partner to kick us off today is have a quick conversation about what it is that we did last class. Remind each other what you did in our last class. What activity did we do? Have a quick 45-second conversation with your shoulder partner. And please be ready to share out. In 15 seconds, I will use my random name generator to have someone share with us. Oh, yeah. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to hear what we did last class. Will you please share with us what the activity was? You don't even have to talk about the theories behind it. Yeah. Hey guys, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing. Please pause those conversations while your classmates are sharing out. Okay, so, sorry, I interrupted you. Keep going. Oh, interesting. So what you're telling me is that we created a model of Pangea using some evidence. Use one word to tell your shoulder partner what that evidence was that we used. What was our evidence? We used our plates that fit like puzzle pieces. What was another piece of evidence that we used? Yeah, the fossils connected together, right? And we knew that by color. We knew that by color, and so we were able to piece these things together by color. Okay? Now, with this idea in mind of what we did last class, please open up, and I think most of us have our computers ready to go now. Please open up to, there we go. Please open up to your plate tectonics unit requirements page and go ahead over to the proficiency table and scroll through both of these tables and see if there is any learning target that you can now define in the knowledge column. After last class's activity, is there a learning target that you can now define? If you can, please go ahead and type just a brief one sentence. It doesn't even have to be a complete sentence, but just a one kind of sentence idea that you took away from our activity last class. Let's please take 90 seconds to do so. Again, you're looking for a learning target. You're looking for a learning target that you can define after our activity last class. Is there anything now that you know about? And I'm seeing a couple of people that are like, no, that's okay. We're going to talk about that. Just please be patient and wait. If none of these mean anything to you yet, that is okay. We are not all in the same spot. I see several of us have written in at least one box. A couple of us feel comfortable with up to 2 boxes. Please finish your brief definitions in 15 seconds. Okay, the expectation for the next 2 minutes. For 2 minutes, you are going to find your soulmate. No. Soulmates. Soulmates. Someone with similar shoes on as yourself. It doesn't have to be the exact type of shoe, right? You can have just, if you're wearing tennis shoes, you pair with someone with tennis shoes. You wear blue. You're not wearing bare pants. This looks like. Sorry, I wasn't clear enough. Your soulmate must be from outside of your group. And please find that soulmate and take your computer with you and share what you were able to define, please. Please take your computer with you and share what you define. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, stay where you're at, but pause those conversations in 3, 2, 1. Don't even need to go through 2 and 1. Here's the thing. Some of you, A, were absent last class and didn't have the opportunity to do the activity. So hopefully you found someone that did have a definition written in one of their boxes, and you were able to come up with a definition of your own, at least of what we did last class. You didn't have to write anything. But what I'd like you to have a conversation about now is, if you didn't write anything, or if you didn't know anything from last class, what steps could you take using my plate tectonics unit requirements page? What could you do if you did not understand what we did last class? Wherever you are at right now, please have that conversation. What could you do if you did not write any definitions today? About 30 seconds. In 10 seconds, I will choose a random name to share out. So, hey guys, Chloe was selected to share for us. So, Chloe, if you didn't, and I see that you do have something written, but if you didn't have anything written, what kind of steps would you take? Okay, so I do want you to try and stick in this resource. Those are all great options. But if you were only using this, how could you find the video that's appropriate for the topic that we're addressing? Yeah, so you would scroll through here, right? And you would look for the learning target that we addressed last class. Did we address crust, lithosphere, mantle, mesosphere, core, outer core, inner core last class? No. So those videos don't apply yet, right? But you can scroll down here. We did address last class continental drift and the theory of plate tectonics. We did address that. If that didn't make sense to you, I have given resources here that I have vetted to make sure that they are applicable, so you could watch those videos. Even if something did make sense to you, this weekend, I see this beautiful picture here. I see this picture of you guys, you're all, because it's getting cold, so you're all bundled up like in your Snuggie or something, and you're sitting on your couch with a bowl of popcorn, you're flipping through, watching Netflix, and then you've been sitting there for so long, Netflix says, "Are you still watching?" And then it sits there for like, what, 90 seconds? And you've got this little break in there. Hey, pop on take that 90 seconds, pop on one of these videos from OneNote, thank you, and just make sure that these concepts are clear to you. Okay? Why I am saying this is because, you guys, we have got to start taking a little bit more accountability of our own learning. Okay? You are freshmen in high school, and teachers can no longer go step by step exactly what you need to do. You are all in different places, and only you know, to the best of your abilities, what place you are in. Okay? I can guess pretty well, right? I can get an idea of where you guys are at. But only you really know exactly what concepts are perfectly clear to you and which ones are still confusing. So you have got to really take some ownership. That is why I have created this table. Now, what I want to show you here, please follow along with me in OneNote in your proficiency tables here. Today, where I expected our learning targets to have been met was continental drift and maybe the theory of plate tectonics. Those were the two learning targets that we addressed last class. Okay? The expectation after one day of learning it, just one day, that's not very much, right? I have the expectation that after one day of learning about a theory, you should at least be able to define that theory. That is where you fall within that knowledge column. You should hopefully have a basic understanding at this point. Okay? After a couple more days of addressing these very same topics, I hope that you are able to move over into our reasoning column. What I mean by the reasoning column is that you should be able to not only define the learning target, but you should be able to describe the target and explain the connections it has with other terms in the unit using evidence to support your claims. Now, some of you should be able to do that today. We already discussed some of the evidence that supports our claims, right? We discussed fossils, okay? We discussed that the land masses look like puzzle pieces. So some of you might be comfortable enough to say that, yeah, I can explain this. And I can move over to the reasoning column. Now, by the end of this unit, my expectation as a teacher is that all of you are able to fit into this column. You should all be able to complete these I can statements. So by the end of the unit, you should be able to say, I can explain the theory of how the theory of plate tectonics evolved from the hypothesis of continental drift. Okay. By the end of this unit, I expect that you are able to say, I can explain how convection currents result in the movement of Earth's plates. Have we done that yet? No. But by the end of the unit, you certainly should be able to do that. These are the learning targets that you need to take ownership of and make sure that if you cannot do that, you are using those additional resources that I've provided to be able to make sure you can. Now, obviously, I am always going to be a resource for you, and I'm more than happy to be here for you before or after school to help clarify any of those misunderstandings. But if you realize that if this statement does not make sense to you, you've got to do something else. Okay? If our in-class work didn't help you, you've got to use some additional resources to get there. And that's on you. You've got to take that ownership. Okay? Now, one last little piece here. You guys, please look over the elaborate column. Please look at the elaborate column. With your shoulder partner, please read out loud. Choose one person to read out loud what you should be able to do if you are able to elaborate on our content. Please read out loud, one person. All right, hey guys, pause those conversations. Eyes back up here in 2. And 1. Oh. All right, so, hey ladies and gentlemen, do you think that every single person is going to be able to do that on all of these learning targets? No, that is not my expectation. I believe that each of you should probably be able to end up doing one learning target. You should be able to elaborate on at least one, but not on every single one. Are there going to be some of you that can elaborate on every single one? Probably. Yeah, I'm going to expect that. There's going to be a few of you guys, okay? There are a few of you that plate tectonics, volcanoes, earthquakes, that is just your thing. And so you want to be able to go into more depth outside of what I teach, okay? There are going to be some of you that want to be able to explore other concepts within this unit that I'm not going to teach in class. And I want you to have the opportunity to do that, okay? What that's going to look like as far as grading goes at the end of this unit, okay? If all that you can do is just simply, if at the end of the unit, all you're able to do is define this, okay? You will receive a score of 2 out of 4, okay? And just defining it is all that you can do. If you are able to reason for all of these learning targets, then you will receive a 3 out of 4, okay? For the learning targets that you do elaborate on, you will receive a 4 out of 4 for that learning target, okay? So, again, I expect that everybody is able to complete the reasoning column with these I can statements and relate all of these learning targets together. And then I expect that you're going to find a few learning targets that you are able to elaborate on. In other words, you are able to go above and beyond what was done in class. Okay. One last thing I want to do here in this requirements page, please go ahead and look at your required assignments section there. Please find the required assignments section on that page. Are there any required assignments that you can currently check off because you completed them? Did you complete an assignment last class? Now, if you didn't complete the analysis questions, you can't check this off. If you did complete it, you know that you finished those analysis questions in OneNote and you turned in your puzzle pieces, then check it off. My purpose behind this, again, is for you to take some more ownership so that when I get things into PowerSchool, I mean, typically I get them in within about a week. Okay, sometimes it's a little bit longer depending on what it is. But typically I get grades in about a week. And then what happens, if you didn't get it done, you go, oh my gosh, I didn't get it done. I have a really bad grade in earth science now, and you scramble and hurry up and try and finish it, right? And get it turned into me. Now, you should be able to know ahead of time, before I put things in PowerSchool, you should be able to know ahead of time what is going to be put in. If you know it's not done, then you're going to know, hey, I'm going to get a bad score when this goes into PowerSchool. Okay? So you can keep track of your own assignments using these required assignments so that you know exactly what is expected to be done. Okay? How could you know if you finished last class's assignment? What could you do? What do you think, Xander? Well, but that's after the fact, right? If we check PowerSchool, it's too late. What do you think? Well, but asking me is taking that ownership off of yourself, right? I have 190 of you, and you need to be able to know what you have done or completed. How could you know if you finished it? Yeah, you can go into your OneNote notebook and actually just look at the assignment and say, did I finish this? Right? Just check for yourself. Before you put a check mark on the Wegener's theory of plate tectonic or theory of continental drift, go back and check and see, did I actually finish it? Okay? All right. Are there any questions on all of that information that I've just given you? What's that? But other things? Okay, I'll come and chat with you. Oh, in a minute, yes. All right. So, oh, okay. Okay, so again, if you finished last class's assignment, please put a check. If you haven't finished it yet, don't put a check until you do finish it, okay? We are going to model Wegener's theory here, and then I'm going to ask you to readdress your proficiency table before we move on, okay? So please open back up in OneNote to Wegener's puzzling continents and look over your analysis questions. And then we are going to do some model drawing here, okay?